For moving out without a word after Mom locked me out over a vacation? That night, I had returned to the house with a pounding headache and a back that ached from hours hunched over a computer. It was nearly midnight on a Tuesday that had evaporated into spreadsheets and conference calls. The suburban street was silent, and I was grateful to see the house was dark. Good, I thought. I do not have the energy to talk to anyone. I walked up the short path to the front door, slid my key into the lock, and tried to turn it. It would not budge. I pulled it out, reinserted it, and wiggled it the way you do with a stubborn lock. Nothing. I stepped back under the porch light and examined the key. It was the same one I had used all year. And then the cold realization hit me. I knocked softly at first, holding on to the foolish hope that this was all a misunderstanding. Please just open the door. No response. I knocked louder. Then I moved to the doorbell, pressing it once, then twice, then 3 times. Finally, I held it down, letting the chime become a continuous, infuriating buzz in the quiet night. The sound stopped, but I saw a flicker of movement behind the living room curtains. Someone was in there watching me. I know you're inside, I said, my voice cracking. Open the door. Now. Still nothing. With fingers numb from the cold, I pulled out my phone. A new message had just arrived. It was from my mom. We're not opening the door until you agree to pay for the vacation. This is for your own good, Claire. You need to learn not to be so selfish. I stared at the screen, a sense of unreality washing over me. A bitter heat rose in my chest, a mix of pure rage and deep humiliation. My own family was locking me out of the house that I paid for. I could have called the police, of course. The lease was in my name. I had the canceled checks, the bank statements, the text messages to prove it. But I also knew how that would play out. A massive fight, screaming matches on the lawn, an endless drama I was already too broken to endure. The last frayed thread of the idea that family is family held me back. I retreated to my car, started the engine, and cranked the heat up full blast. I curled into the driver's seat as best I could, pulling my coat tight around me. The cold in a Chicago suburb in November is a damp, penetrating chill that seeps right into your bones. I slept in fitful bursts, waking up to turn the engine off to save gas, then starting it again when the shivering became unbearable. By dawn I was stiff, with a parched throat and eyes that burned from lack of sleep. I looked at the house. Lights were on now, shadows moved behind the windows. Life was proceeding as normal inside, while I was an outcast on the curb. Around 7 in the morning the front door opened. My mom, Susan, emerged with a serene calm that infuriated me more than shouting ever could. She walked towards my car and smiled. A gentle, pleasant smile, as if this were just a casual morning chat. I cracked the window an inch. Have you had a chance to think about our conversation last night? She asked sweetly, as if she had not just left me to freeze. In that moment my mind became crystal clear, as if the cold had sharpened my thoughts into a single point. Yes, I told her slowly. I have. Her smile widened. Wonderful. Then you can come inside now. I got out of the car, stretched my aching back, and followed her into the house. Inside, my dad, Mark, my sister, and my brother-in-law were all sitting at the kitchen table, eating breakfast as if nothing had happened, as if I had not spent the night just feet away in a car. My sister, Haley, leaned back in her chair, a smug we won expression on her face. Good morning, sleepyhead, she chirped. Want some pancakes? I did not respond. I walked straight to my bedroom, closed the door behind me, and took a long deep breath, fighting the urge to completely fall apart. To understand how we reached this point, I need to explain that this did not start last night. This was the result of years of build-up. In our family, it was always Haley this, Haley that. My older sister, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the charismatic one who deserved the world. And me? I was just there. The quiet one, the responsible one, the one who was expected to understand. I am Claire. By 27, I was used to being the background character in the Davis family. That did not mean my life was a failure. Far from it. I had a great job as a corporate account manager at a major tech firm in downtown Chicago. I made a good salary, enough to afford a decent rental, save a little, and treat myself occasionally. I had a savings account I guarded fiercely, dreaming of a down payment on a condo of my own one day. But my parents never saw it that way. To them, my stable life was fine, but it lacked the sparkle they thought was necessary to be truly worthwhile. For the past year, I had been renting a small 2-bedroom house in Oak Park. The commute to the Loop during the week was a beast, anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the traffic on the Eisenhower Expressway. Some days I would leave with plenty of time and still arrive with my jaw clenched. The house was small, yes, but it was my sanctuary. Haley, who was 30, had married her college boyfriend, Ryan, 3 years ago. Their wedding was a huge, wildly expensive affair, the kind that looks perfect on Instagram, even if it puts you in debt for a decade. My parents had thrown money at it like it was nothing. I was a bridesmaid, of course, stuffed into a peach-colored dress my sister had chosen with the specific intent of making me look washed out. She succeeded. One Tuesday morning my mom texted me, "Family dinner tonight. Do not be late like last time." I sighed at my phone. These monthly dinners were a form of torture I endured out of a strange sense of duty, as if I still needed to earn my seat at the table. "I will be there," I typed back. That evening, I drove to my parents' house in Lincoln Park. As I pulled up, I saw Haley's new enormous SUV in the driveway, gleaming under the streetlights. Of course, she was already here, helping in the kitchen, banking those favorite daughter points. The dinner was the usual script. My mom fawning over Haley's part-time job at a real estate agency. My dad nodding with pride at every word she said. I mostly pushed food around my plate, offering minimal answers when a direct question was aimed my way. Then over dessert, Haley cleared her throat with theatrical flair. "Mom, Dad, Ryan and I have some news." I braced myself. A part of me thought she is going to announce she is pregnant. All I could picture was my own life shrinking even further into the background. "We've decided to start our own business," she announced, squeezing Ryan's hand. My parents lit up. My mom actually clapped. "Oh, honey, that is wonderful," she said, her voice dripping with a pride she never used for me. "What kind of business?" my dad asked. "A high-end clothing boutique," Haley replied, smiling as if she were already a fashion icon. "We've already found the perfect retail space on the Gold Coast." That made my head turn. I have a degree in business administration. I worked my tail off through college, balancing classes and a job. Haley had barely passed her real estate exam. I tried to keep my voice even. "Have you done a market study? The Gold Coast is incredibly competitive." Haley rolled her eyes. "Do not start, Claire. Not all of us have to overthink every little thing like you do." "I am not overthinking," I said. "These are basic questions. Do you have a business plan? Projections for your initial investment, your expected sales, your break-even point?" "See," she snapped, her voice rising. "This is why you are no fun to talk to. You do not get it. This is not about spreadsheets. It is about my passion." She sat up straighter, preparing for her final move. "And there is one more thing. We need seed money to get started." The dining room went quiet. A knot formed in my stomach. Haley looked at my parents. "We were hoping you could help us. Maybe take out a home equity loan. The house is almost paid off. As soon as the boutique is profitable, we will pay you back with interest. It is a sure thing." I felt the blood drain from my face. That house was their life's work, the only real asset they had. "That is a terrible idea." The words slipped out before I could stop them. My mom shot me a look of pure betrayal. "Claire, stop." "Mom, Dad, you cannot risk your house on a startup, especially a retail boutique. The failure rate for those is astronomical." "My boutique is not going to fail," Haley said, her voice sharp. "You are so infuriating. You cannot just be happy for me. You are jealous because Ryan and I are taking a risk for our dream, while you just sit in your boring office cubicle." "Jealous?" I repeated, incredulous. "I am trying to stop you from making them homeless." "No," Haley shouted, standing up now. "You want me to fail. You have always been jealous of me. You cannot stand the thought that I might actually be more successful than you with your fancy degree." Her eyes welled up with tears, the kind she could summon on command. My mom was already moving to comfort her. My dad's face was a mask of poor baby sympathy. I stood up. "This is insane. I am not staying here to be attacked. I will say one thing. Think very, very carefully before you sign any documents." My mom touched my arm. "We will think about it, honey," she said. But I could already hear the decision in her voice. I knew whose side she was on. I said a clipped goodbye to my parents, ignored Haley and Ryan, and left feeling like I had just watched a slow-motion train wreck begin. 3 weeks later, I was in the middle of a major client presentation when my phone buzzed. I ignored it. It buzzed again insistently. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, and answered. "Hello, Claire," my dad said, using my full name. He sounded weary. "We gave the money to Haley and Ryan." I closed my eyes. "How much?" "We got a home equity loan from the bank," he explained, as if the official term made it less reckless. $250,000. I leaned against the wall for support. "How did they approve that much?" "The house has appreciated a lot over the years and we owed very little," he said quickly. "The bank said our credit was excellent." "But why?" "Well, the house is the collateral, it is all secure," he added, his voice rushed. "They have a solid plan. Haley showed us everything." I bit my tongue so hard it hurt. "I hope it works out," was all I could manage to say. Almost a year later, on a Tuesday, there was a knock on my door around 11 at night. I was on the couch reviewing work documents. I opened it to find my parents on my doorstep, looking like they had aged a decade in the last 12 months. My mom's eyes were red and swollen. My dad looked smaller, defeated, his gaze fixed on the ground. "We lost the house," my mom whispered, her voice barely audible. I did not say, "I told you so." I thought it, screamed it inside my head, but seeing them so broken, the words got stuck in my throat. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. They stayed in my spare room that night. They told me the basics. The boutique had hemorrhaged money and closed after 8 months. The loan had been squandered on overpriced inventory, an absurdly high rent on the Gold Coast, and business trips to fashion weeks in New York and LA that were, in reality, just lavish vacations. After the business imploded, my parents had tried to make the loan payments themselves, but month after month they fell further behind. They tried to negotiate with the bank, asked for extensions, and cut every possible expense, but that morning the final notice had arrived. The official, non-negotiable kind of letter that shatters your world. The foreclosure process was nearly complete. They had to be out soon. There were no more options. "We ran out of time," my mom summarized. The next day I requested to work from home, something I rarely did. I could not focus, could not breathe. I helped them move the few possessions they could grab quickly. Boxes of family photos, their clothes, the china my grandmother had given my mom for her wedding. "It is just temporary," my dad kept repeating as we carried boxes into my garage. "Just until we get back on our feet." I just nodded, not trusting my own voice. My savings account started to feel the strain immediately. It is one thing to help out for a bit. It is another to suddenly support a household of 5 people. 2 weeks later, I got home from a rare day at the office to find a familiar SUV in my driveway. Haley and Ryan's. I walked inside to find them sitting at my kitchen table, looking for all the world like they belonged there. Haley offered a tight, forced smile. Ryan just slouched in his chair. "Oh, you are here," Haley said, as if I were the one interrupting. "What is going on?" I asked, putting my bag down. My mom appeared from the kitchen, a mug in her hand. "Haley and Ryan need a place to stay for a little while," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Sorry, our landlord would not wait any longer for the rent," Haley explained quickly. "We were behind, and he gave us a notice to vacate." My head began to throb. And who said they could stay here? My dad spoke from the living room, his eyes still glued to the TV. "We are family, Claire. Family helps each other." I looked at Haley. For a brief second, a flicker of shame crossed her face, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by her familiar look of victimhood. "We will help out," she promised. "I will do the cleaning and Mom can cook. You will not even notice we are here." What could I do? Throw them out on the street? They were my family, as dysfunctional and frustrating as they were. I agreed, but with conditions. My mom would cook the meals. Haley would be responsible for cleaning the house on weekends. I would continue to pay for all the groceries. My dad and Ryan offered nothing, and no one seemed to expect them to. The first month was survivable. I worked late most nights, so I would come home to a prepared dinner. We ate in relative peace, exchanging trivialities before retreating to our separate corners. My parents in the spare room, Haley and Ryan on an air mattress in what used to be my small home office. Me in my bedroom. The house was cramped with 5 adults, but we managed. Until we did not. By the second month, dirty dishes started piling up in the sink. My mom's cooking for everyone became sporadic. She complained it was too much for her. I started coming home to find they had cooked and eaten, but only for themselves. 3 nights in a row, I got home late to a nearly empty refrigerator, save for their leftovers. I started grabbing dinner at a diner near my office before driving home. It was an extra expense I could not afford, but it was better than coming home to an empty plate in my own house. The weekend cleaning became a farce. 1 Saturday on, 2 Saturdays off. Haley always had an excuse. Her new part-time retail job was exhausting. She had a migraine. She had a networking event. One Saturday, about 3 months in, I hit my limit. Instead of doing the weekly grocery run, I stayed in my room and read a novel. They came home that afternoon from visiting relatives, and the sight of the empty fridge sparked the drama. My mom opened my door without knocking. "There is no food," she stated, her tone accusatory. "It is Saturday," she added, as if that were a legal ruling. "You always buy groceries on Saturday." "Not today," I replied, my voice dangerously calm. She stared at me as if I had committed a federal crime. "And when were you going to tell us? We are hungry." I closed my book slowly because if I moved too quickly I might throw it. I am done buying groceries that I never get to eat. From now on, everyone is responsible for their own food. Her face flushed a deep red. "After everything we have done for you. Done for me." I cut in, my control finally snapping. "You are living in my house rent-free. All I asked in return was for you to cook and clean, and you have stopped doing both." She stormed out, and I could hear her complaining loudly in the living room. Voices rose, full of indignation, painting me as the villain. I put on my headphones and tried to read. They gave me the silent treatment for a week, and oddly enough, it was the most peaceful week I had had in months. I bought a mini fridge for my room and stocked it with my own things. I ate what I wanted when I wanted without resentment. I came and went, and no one said a word. Until one evening my mom stopped me as I was heading to my room with a pizza. "Claire, can we talk?" she said, using that serious tone she reserved for when she wanted to be in charge. I followed her to the kitchen table, where my dad, Haley, and Ryan were already assembled, their faces grim. "We have been thinking," my mom began, glancing at the others for support. "Things have been tense. We want to make it right." "Yeah," Haley added, her voice soft and conciliatory. "We know we have not been pulling our weight." I raised an eyebrow but remained silent. My dad cleared his throat. "We crossed a line, Claire. The food situation, that was not right. We should not have put it all on you." It was not a real apology, but it was the closest I was going to get. "We want to go back to the old arrangement," my mom continued. "I will cook for everyone, and Haley will clean on weekends. If you will go back to buying the groceries for the house." I studied their faces. My dad could not meet my gaze. Ryan was fiddling with a napkin. Haley was trying to look remorseful, but I saw the calculation in her eyes. "What is with the sudden change of heart?" I asked. "We miss being a family," my mom said. Then she added the real reason. "And honestly, none of us can afford to keep buying our own food." At least it was the truth. And I had to admit, I missed having a hot meal waiting for me. The peace had also been lonely. "Fine," I said finally. "But the moment it starts slipping again, the deal is off. I will not be taken for granted in my own home." They all nodded eagerly, their relief palpable. For a few weeks it actually worked. My mom cooked. Haley cleaned. I kept the kitchen stocked. We were not a happy family, but we were a functioning household. Then, in mid-November, I came home one night to a strange atmosphere. All 4 of them were at the table, but they fell silent the moment I walked in, exchanging nervous glances. "What is going on?" I asked, setting down my things. My mom served me a plate of lasagna with a smile that was far too bright. "We were just talking about the Thanksgiving weekend," she said. "It is only a couple of weeks away." "Oh," I said, digging in. I have to work that Wednesday, but I will be off for the long weekend. Another round of shifty looks. Well, actually, Haley said, putting down her fork. We were thinking of doing something different this year. A little getaway, you know? To clear our heads after such a rough year. I paused, my fork halfway to my mouth. A getaway where? There is this beautiful resort in Lake Geneva, my dad said, suddenly animated. It has a spa, hiking trails, all-inclusive meals. Haley found a great package deal for the long weekend. Sounds expensive, I remarked, looking at them. So, are you asking if I want to go? Because I just said I am working. No, Haley said quickly. We know you cannot. That is what makes it perfect. This way you will not feel like you are missing out. I put my fork down. If you know I cannot go, why are you telling me about it? The heavy, uncomfortable silence returned. And then the pieces clicked into place. You want me to pay for it, do you not? I said flatly. My mom reached across the table and put her hand on mine, a gesture meant to soften the blow. Not pay for all of it, she cooed. Just help us out. We all need a break, Claire. It has been so hard on all of us. You are asking me to pay for a vacation that I am not even going on? I asked, my voice tight with disbelief. You can afford it, Haley chimed in, her old arrogance resurfacing. We all know what you make. That is not the point, I shot back. The point is that you are asking me to fund a luxury trip for 4 adults who contribute nothing to this household. We are your family, my dad said, as if that were the end of the argument. And your mother and I are not young anymore. We deserve a little comfort. And Ryan and I are still recovering financially, Haley added. It is going to take time. Ryan just nodded, staring at his plate. I looked at them and a new kind of cold settled over me. They see me as an ATM, I realized. And the admission hurt. No, I said, my voice firm. I am not paying for your vacation. If you want to go to Lake Geneva, you can pay for it yourselves. But we cannot, Haley whined. Then you do not go, I interrupted. That is how the world works. If you cannot afford something, you do not get to have it. Ryan spoke up for the first time, his tone laced with annoyance. You are so selfish. After everything this family has done for you. A short, bitter laugh escaped me. What have you done for me lately? Lived here for free, eaten my food, and asked for more and more as if I owe it to you. We raised you, my mom said, her voice trembling with either genuine emotion or a well-rehearsed performance. We sacrificed for you. And I have been repaying that sacrifice for months, I replied. But this is where it stops. I am not paying for your spa weekend. The rest of the dinner was glacial. I finished my food, stood up and went to my room, locking the door behind me. I could hear their angry, hushed voices from the living room. I turned on my TV to drown them out. The next morning, the hostile silence continued. I went to work and threw myself into a huge project, staying late on purpose to avoid being in that tense house. For a week, that was my routine. Arrive early, leave late, speak only when necessary. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I stayed at the office until almost midnight to finalize a presentation. The building was deserted, and all I wanted was to get home and collapse into bed. I drove through the empty streets, and when I arrived, the key would not turn, the text message came through, and I spent the night in my car. The next morning I did not say a word. I did not plead or argue. I would not give them the satisfaction. I went into my room, closed the door, and called my boss. Hi, I need to take a personal day. A family emergency came up. He approved it without asking any questions. I waited, listening as one by one, they left the house for their various errands and part-time jobs. Around 9 in the morning, the house was finally empty. I got up, opened my closet and pulled out my suitcases. I started packing with a strange, detached calm, as if this decision had been made for me long ago. I packed my clothes, my laptop, my important documents, a few photos. Anything that truly mattered. The rest was just stuff. Then I called the property manager who handled my lease. Hi, Mr. Peterson, it is Claire Davis. I need to terminate my lease, I said, getting straight to the point. Is there a problem with the house? He asked, concerned. No, it is a personal family matter. I need to move out. I gave him the briefest possible version, avoiding the humiliating details. My lease requires 30 days notice, but I am willing to pay for the entire next month if you will let me out of the agreement now, I offered. There was a pause. Look, Claire, he said finally. You have always been a good tenant, always paid on time. If you pay for next month's rent, we will call it even. No penalty. A wave of profound relief washed over me. Thank you. I truly appreciate that, I told him. Can I ask one more favor? Could you be the one to serve them the notice to vacate? I cannot have that conversation. No problem, he said. I will stop by this afternoon. I hung up and continued my work. I loaded my car with everything I could fit. I found a local moving company for a few larger pieces of furniture and rented a small storage unit for the rest. It was another expense, but after months of bankrolling for other adults, what was one more? This was an investment in my own sanity. Then I sent a text to my best friend, Megan. This is going to sound dramatic, but I need a place to crash for a few days. Her reply was immediate. My spare room is yours for as long as you need. Come over now. By mid-afternoon, my car was packed and I was ready to go. I took one last look at the room, at the small house I had worked so hard to maintain, and I walked out without a word. That night my phone blew up. Missed calls, voicemails, frantic texts. My mom crying. My dad claiming he was having chest pains. Haley alternating between threatening me and begging. I am sorry, Claire, but you were being so difficult. I did not answer. Eventually, I just turned my phone off. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of lightness. It was not happiness, not yet. It was a strange, quiet peace. The next day, I was at my desk when the front desk receptionist buzzed my extension. Claire, your family is in the lobby asking for you. My stomach plummeted. I went downstairs to find them creating a scene. My mom was sobbing. My dad was clutching his chest dramatically. Haley was wringing her hands while Ryan stood behind them scowling. I ushered them outside to the sidewalk to avoid further spectacle. Claire, please, my mom gasped between sobs. We have nowhere to go. Your father is having an episode, Haley added, gesturing to him. Mr. Peterson gave us a notice. We have to be out by the end of the month, my dad said, his voice weak and pitiful. What are we supposed to do? My own calmness was surprising even to me. It was not coldness, it was clarity. I let them finish their performance, their promises to change, their desperate pleas. When they finally fell silent, I took a deep breath. You made your choice, I told them. You changed the locks. You left me outside in the cold. You forced my hand. My mom started to protest, but I held up my hand to stop her. Now it is your turn to figure it out, just like I had to. I turned around, walked back into my office building, and did not look back. 2 weeks later, I was settled into a new apartment in a different part of the city, far enough away that they could not just show up. I had blocked all their numbers. Megan helped me get set up. Slowly, I moved my things out of storage. Mr. Peterson sent me a text confirming that the house had been vacated on the last day of the month. He did not say where they went, and I did not ask. The first few days of true solitude were strange. The silence was absolute, but it was a comforting silence, not a punishing one. My savings account, which had been bleeding for nearly a year, began to recover. I was no longer paying for 5 people's groceries, for their bills, for their comfort. The balance started to grow again, and with it, a thought I had not allowed myself to have in years returned. Maybe that down payment is not so far away after all. There were nights, of course, when a flicker of guilt would surface. Had I gone too far? Had I been too harsh? They were, after all, my parents, my family. But then I would remember the bone-deep cold of that night in the car. I would remember my key useless in my hand. I would remember the curtain moving, the knowledge that they were inside, watching me. I would remember my mother's text message, telling me it was for my own good. I would remember a year of giving everything I had and being treated like my only purpose was to enable their bad decisions. And in that memory, the doubt would vanish. It was not a clean break, and it was not easy, but it was the first decision I had made in my adult life entirely for myself, without seeking anyone's approval. For the first time, I was living on my own terms, and it was enough. Comment. I know this story brings up a lot of complex emotions for many of us. It truly highlights how crucial it is to establish healthy boundaries, even with the people we love the most. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It is a fundamental act of self-respect. Sometimes the most difficult choice is also the kindest one you can make for yourself. We can't be responsible for the happiness of others at the expense of our own well-being. True healing often begins the moment you decide to stop participating in cycles that hurt you. Letting go of what drains you creates space for what will actually help you grow. I hope this story serves as a gentle reminder to honor your own needs and listen to your intuition. Always remember that you are worthy of relationships built on mutual respect and support. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.